Welcome back to the Basketball Universe channel. So in the past, I've done tribute videos for some all-time great players who passed away. Sam Jones passed away at the end of 2020, and then we lost Bob Lanier a few months ago. But this one is big. Losing Bill Russell, the greatest winner in sports for the last 2 centuries. So we all know his legacy. We all know the accolades, the championships that he won, an impact that he left that is still being felt nearly 55 years after his retirement. He was the first dominant rim protector, and he became the blueprint for the following generations of big men to follow. We all know this. But there's one quality that Bill Russell possessed that is the reason why he's the greatest winner of all time. However, it's something that has gone overlooked. And the reason is that we just don't see it anymore. It's a lost art. But if you want to be successful at being a leader of men and driving your team to the ultimate goal, there's no one that did it better than Bill Russell. And that's what I want to focus on in this tribute that I'm doing for him. The following is an excerpt of my book, The All-Time Greatest NBA Book. This is what I wrote when I discussed his ranking among the top 100 players of all time. So when looking at the raw numbers, it's easy to bypass the greatness of Russell and just credit the depth that the Celtics had that allowed them to win so many championships. We're so used to the best player in the team being the primary scorer, and a player that doesn't take that responsibility gets labeled as a role player. So in this day and age, Bill Russell has become an anomaly. We don't know how to separate the 11 championships he won to his career 15 points per game average. So to understand this, we have to get inside the brilliant mind of Russell and let him tell us how he was able to lead the Celtics to so many titles. In 2012, Bill Simmons, author of the Book of Basketball, sat down with Bill Russell for an interview and documented a little bit of their conversation for Grantland.com. He talked about his leadership tactics and what he did to make his teammates better. So here's what Bill Simmons got out of that insightful conversation. Quote, Russell believed, and still believes, that a basketball team only achieves its potential if everyone embraces their roles. You figure out what you have, split the responsibilities, and you're off. In Boston, Cousy ran the break, Heinsohn ran the lane and crashed the boards, Bill Sharman, Sam Jones, and later John Havlicek handled the scoring. K.C. Jones and Sat Sanders handled the perimeter defense, and Russell handled everything else. So it was the everything else that varied from season to season or even month to month. Russell assessed what his team needed and tailored his game accordingly. That's what made him Bill Russell. End of quote. And that's what made the Boston Celtics the most dominant team in American sports history. So when Bill Russell says things like shooting is of relatively little importance in a player's overall game, it's not him looking to defend his legacy. It's Russell giving us gems of knowledge. He knew that if he made a point to average a certain amount of points per game and to force the Celtics to revolve their offense around him, the Celtics would never reach their full potential. It was about allowing his teammates to play at their strength and being there to cover their weaknesses. This is what made him the ultimate leader in basketball. So when Russell would score 15 or 18 points, and the Celtics would still go on to beat their opponents by 20 points in a playoff game, it wasn't because the Celtics were loaded with talent. It's because no one in the history of the league affected a game in a positive manner without scoring more than Bill Russell. The ultimate proof of all this lies in the battles that he had with the greatest scorer in NBA history, Wilt Chamberlain. While Wilt was trying to beat you single-handedly, Bill Russell knew how to win. When you look at their head-to-head battles in the regular season, Russell had a record of 57-37 over Wilt. And then we have their head-to-head battles in the playoffs. He faced Bill Russell 8 times in the playoffs and only beat him in a 7-game series once. On 4 of those occasions, Wilt's team had home court advantage. So we can't use the excuse that Bill Russell had better teammates. It's simple. One player thrived in the clutch, and the other shrank. Here's an ultimate stat that proves that Russell's arguably the greatest clutch performer in NBA history. Bill Russell's team participated in 21 winner-take-all contests, 9 NCAA tournament games, 1 Olympic gold medal game, 10 Game 7s, and 1 deciding Game 5. and Bill Russell's team won all 21. The best examples of that highlight Bill Russell's greatness came in 1965 and 1966. I had the 1964/65 Boston Celtics in the top 20 of the greatest teams of all time in my book. What amazed me was that was their most statistically dominant season of the Bill Russell era, and it came in a season where they just won 6 straight titles. That is just astonishing to me. The circumstances of that season require us to give that team its proper due. How is it possible that a team can stay driven and motivated to keep playing at a high level and to keep improving? The answer is having Bill Russell, who was at his peak in terms of physical ability, knowledge of the game, and desire to win. That team never lost sight of what they needed to accomplish because he wouldn't let them. They were expected to play their roles, and that's why the Celtics ran like a well-oiled machine. Then the following season, Bill Russell helped the Celtics win their 8th straight title in a row in the most unique circumstances. After losing the first game of the final series against the Los Angeles Lakers, Red Auerbach decided to step down as the head coach, and he named Bill Russell as the first player coach in NBA history. He also simultaneously became the first African American coach in professional sports history. It was a move that he felt was necessary to galvanize his team, and he had no doubts that Bill Russell would be able to push his team to win their 8th straight title. Not only did he succeed, but he produced the best statistical playoff series of his NBA career. He averaged a career high for a playoff series, 23.6 points per game on 54% shooting, 24.3 rebounds per game, and 3.7 assists per game. The immense amount of pressure that he had to overcome to prove that he can succeed with him playing the role of player coach, especially in those times, and to make the proper adjustments for his team to avoid losing the series after being up 3-1 is incredibly impressive. But as we already mentioned, no one was able to elevate their play in high pressure moments quite as Bill Russell could. This really highlights the extraordinary leadership abilities that Bill Russell had that drove his team to victory. The most common misconception about Bill Russell is that he was just a good defensive player, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. There's more to a player's greatness than just their numbers, and the 5 times that players of the league chose him to be the MVP is evidence of that. There were always players that produced better numbers than Bill Russell did, but there was no player that affected winning more than Bill Russell, and that was obvious to all the players in the league. There has never been another Bill Russell, and there never will be. He never cared about his numbers. He just cared about his team winning. It's how this game was meant to be played, and he exemplified that till the end. He will be greatly missed.